You see, the reason why it cannot be taken from you, it is because the very thing you struggle with is the very thing that keeps dragging you back to the presence of God. The very thing that you struggle with is the very thing that takes you by your shirt, takes you by your leg, takes you by your arm, and brings you back to the altar of God. The very thing that feels that's going to destroy you, it's the very thing that God uses to bring you into His presence. And how amazing is it that at the very least, when you think God should use you, it's the very moment that the anointing of the Holy Ghost comes over your life and uses you. So you've been frustrated and you've been spending valuable time asking God, God, cut the head off of this enemy, and the enemy's head doesn't get cut off. And what God is trying to tell you today, that is because for that shall rely on my grace. Does that give you a pass to sin? No, it does not. What that means is that while that very thing comes, the Lord will never chop it off. Why? Because it is that very thing that forces you to stay connected to God. Because you know, if you have a rush to let go, that thing will speak back up in you. So it forces you when you don't want to pray. It forces you to pray when you don't want to fast. It forces you to fast when you don't want to vigil. It forces you to vigil because you don't want that thing to come back up in you. The Bible says messenger from Satan. The word messenger right there means angel. It could mean pastor, and it could be a physical messenger. Jesus. Do you know? Jesus. You see, I didn't understand this before. I didn't understand this before, and this was a principle that God was trying to teach me through the book Necessity for an Enemy. He was trying to teach me this, but I couldn't understand. You see, we understand messengers from Satan. We understand angels and demons that have been sent. You know, just demons of different kinds that are always there. And it's crazy because you know that when you start slipping, that's always the direction that you go. It is always what is presented to you first. If you used to be an alcoholic, the first thing that's presented to you is a drink from afar. But I did not understand this principle. That there are going to be people that are going to be in your life that God ain't going to cut their head off. me and Michelle have gotten and sat down and have said, why does this person still allow this other person to hang around? If they know that they're bad influences, they know that they're not going to push them towards the things of God. So why don't they just break that relationship off? They don't even know, Linda, why they don't break off the relationship. But now I understand that it has nothing to do with them. It's God that has not allowed that relationship to cut. Because if they ever start to slip, that is the thorn in their flesh on the side that will show up in their life and start pushing them away from the presence of God. Hallelujah! There are people that are allowed to hang around in our life, that when you're in the presence of God, they make no sense for you to have them around. But they just keep showing up. You delete them from Facebook and somehow they just show who accepted them back into this page. You don't even, you thought you killed that relation. You don't want to, and you hear this person spoke to this person that spoke to the person. You're like, okay, great, thank you. But watch this. As you start slipping from God, the order starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now there ain't so many people in between. Now there's about 1 or 2 people in between. And now the farther you go, now all of a sudden somehow you ended up in the same place at the same time doing the same thing together. Jesus, hallelujah. Oh Lord. So Pastor, how do I differentiate one from the other? How can I know which ones to cut the head off and which ones are going to be a continuous battle? This is where your prayer life with God comes into play. This is where your intimate relationship with God comes in. This is where now you having a relationship, understanding the voice of God and God speaking to you comes into play in your life. Because if you don't have this relationship, what's going to happen is that you are going to either waste time on trying to chop a head that ain't gonna fall off, or you're letting somebody hang around that you were supposed to cut off a long time ago. Hallelujah, Jesus. You see, this ain't for everybody, because religion tell you something else. You know why? Because they want to control you. I don't want to control you. I want you to know who God is. See, if I wanted to control you, I'd just tell you just be holy and just, you ain't supposed to do none of that and just, no. It ain't like that. It ain't that simple. It ain't that simple. It wasn't that simple for Paul. What you need to understand is that you are responsible. See, because, say responsible. You're going to be responsible. I want to talk to a responsible people. I want to talk to a people that can be trusted. Not a people that are going to try to find loopholes in the system. Oh, come on, somebody. That are going to try to find a way to get away with things. And are just going to say, well, His grace is sufficient. So I'm good because His grace is sufficient. And it's okay for me to do it because His grace is sufficient. No. That's not what God is talking about. God is giving you the opportunity for a relationship. God is giving you the opportunity where He can reveal Himself who He is. This is what's going on. This thing that you're fighting, it ain't going nowhere. And you're going to have to deal with it for the rest of your life. But the only reason I let it hang around is because I love you too much. What? I love you too much. Because if I take it away, you're going to get to this place where you think you're untouchable. You're going to get to this place where you think you're all right. And you think you don't got to come to me for nothing. So if I don't take and let this thing attack you, I'll never see you in my presence. I'll never see you come to me. Because the system that God is trying to create is this one. When you are looking for God and you are in the fire of God, you ain't worried about enemies, because you know what? You are more powerful than any enemy with the Lord on your side. But what happens when you're going through those weak moments in your life? What happens through those moments that you don't know how to pray, and you get on your knees and you don't feel anything? What happens through those moments when you want to feel the presence of God? You put music, you throw on the TV, you do everything you know, but nothing moves.
Hallelujah, Jesus.
What begins to happen?
Hallelujah.
Maybe this ain't working. Maybe I need to start taking things into my own hands. You know what God does? He picks out that little messenger right there. That little messenger sticks his head out and looks towards your way and says, I'm still here. I'm still here. Oh, come on, somebody. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. 10, 11, 12 o'clock when nobody's looking, that thing picks his head out.
Jesus.
When nobody's looking, that thing picks his head out. When nobody's looking your way, it picks his head out. And when it does, it reminds you, oh, wait. Because, I ain't even going to say it on the mic. Because when you look at the thing, you don't see the thing. You see what you used to be when that thing used to control you. So when it peeks its head out, guess what you see? You see your old you. Yes. You don't see a demon. You see your old face coming back out.
Oh, God. Oh,
and okay, I'm going through it. I don't want to be that again. Oh, no. I don't, no. I ain't letting that come back up in me. But the longer you embrace it, the cuter it begins to look. Oh. What looks ugly at the beginning, the more you embrace it, the more makeup it puts on. The more it fixes its hair, the better dress it puts on. And the more pieces begin to peek out of the curtain. Jesus, come on, man. That's the thorn in your flesh. That the Lord tells you, my grace is sufficient to remind you that what identifies you is not your strength. What makes you who you are is your weakness. And it's how you manage your weakness. It ain't my strength. What identifies me is not how good I preach. What identifies me is how I manage my skeletons that used to be in the closet. It's how many skeletons I don't let back in the closet. It's how many things I don't let back peek up and creep up in my life. It's my weakness that identifies me. So why does he do that? Because it is only through your weakness that we will allow God to be identified. So that when, my God, see, this is why the Bible says that let the weak say, because when his grace is sufficient and you let him perfect himself through your weakness, that is when your weakness becomes strong. Because now you're not identified by who you are, which is your strength. You are identified by your weakness, which is now God. And that is why God says that my most foolish thing is wiser than anything that's wise in any man.
Jesus, hallelujah.
My God. That's why it don't go away. And I'm going to close it with this and we keep going next week. I don't want to overload you. But you need to understand. And you need to begin to get into the presence of God. And you start and stop wasting your prayer time. And begin to use your prayer time to identify the spirit realm. Begin to identify who your enemies are and who you need to cut their heads. Because there are things lingering in your life that you were supposed to be able to get rid of. but you're chucking it up to the grace is sufficient. And it is not the grace is sufficient. It is you letting it hang around. Then there's other things that you've been trying to cut his head off, and you're wasting your time, because all God is telling you is come to me and let me feel your weakness and let me be strong. It is what I'm going to use to keep you in my presence. It is what I'm going to use, because you know what? When God uses you, it is very easy for you to get lost in when God is using you. It is very easy for pride to kick in. It is very easy for while you're ministering and everybody tells you at the end, wow, that was a crazy sermon, pastor. Well, that was a crazy sermon, evangelist. Well, that song was anointed. You have the only voice. It is so easy to get lost in that. That's why God looked at us and said, I ain't going to identify you of how cute you sing, or how nice you preach, or how good you prophesy. Guess how I'm going to identify you? I'm going to identify you that if you now don't have me, you're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict, you're a porn addict, you're a sex addict. That's how I'm going to identify you, because when I come in the picture, I make you perfect.
Yes, God.
I want you to be identified where I am, and I am not in your strong, I am in your weak. That is where I am identified, and that's where he wants you to be identified. Start going into the spirit realm, telling the Lord, Lord, reveal to me, God, where is it, Lord, who I need to cut heads, and who I need to understand that I gotta have a relationship with God, and I have to maintain my relationship with the Lord so that I don't fall and I don't let this thorn in my flesh destroy me. How many give glory to God because he is worthy? Come on, give glory to God because he is worthy. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord.